Okay, welcome to the show. Oh my goodness. I've been bouncing out of my chair waiting for this podcast, and I feel so honored and privileged and humbled, I guess is probably a good word, to introduce my two all-star uh, fellow podcasters and newfound friends on the Light from the Rabbit Hole show today. And first, I'll introduce Dani Max, who is she's a recent author, which is super exciting. And we'll talk about that. She's also a private coach. She has a lot of private coaching, and she's a certified life coach. So we're all going to be really intimate today, and Dani's going to share a lot of fun stuff. So I'm excited for you all to listen to her. And her partner in crime, Keely Lou, which I just love that name so much. I know it's your middle name, but I love it. Who's kind of the marketing / fun spunky one behind the scenes that supports and co-creates with Dani. Would that be the best way to
Absolutely. I love that. I think we're going to start using that.
I love it.
Official title. Yes.
So the basis of what we're talking about today, though, is really all about your online community that you've created, your podcast, your YouTube, your Instagram. My gosh, all around coming out happy. And I love that name, by the way.
Thank you.
It's so cool. So
randomly.
you did? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So for those of you that are listening and watching as well, this is obviously going to be a really fun podcast within the kind of millennial world, which I'm excited about because I feel really old. And both of these ladies could be my daughters. So I'm excited about that. But it's specific around the LGBTQ plus community. So even though that is really the thrust and the foundation of what you guys are all about, your message is universal for anyone, really, right? Coming out happy is something that it's your business, but it's also something that is just so positive and empowering. Even just saying the words, coming out happy, makes you want to smile. Right?
That was the whole goal, I think it's really important though to touch on that it really is a universal cause, like that we're trying to do. We really try to help LGBTQ plus people, but like all we want to do at the end of the day is inspire people to love themselves, to love their life, and be better every single day.
Yes. And there's your doggy in the background.
Yes.
Who you talk about on your podcast, which I love. Just go get your dog.
Okay, I'll get her.
Just go get her. She wants to be a part of what's happening.
There we go.
I love it. So, okay. So let me just back up a second because I'm really excited to talk about how I found you guys. So we have a mutual friend, Tony. Mm-hmm. Tony Davis, who is my kind of co-creator. Oh my gosh, this dog.
She's the little one.
Oh my gosh, I got to get mine in a second. So Tony has found a lot of the speakers that have been on the show, a lot of the guests, and she's involved in Mindshare, which is a great platform. Now, how did you guys get connected to Tony?
She's my friend. She's my mom's friend. So my mom is also a motivational speaker and an author all about betrayal. And they connected at an event, I believe. And then they reached out to me.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. I don't think I knew that. I'm gonna need to interview your mom too.
Yeah. No, I definitely think you want to.
But I think your mom needs to know that you are now going to be my children, my surrogate children.
We're down with that. That's okay.
So, so Tony found you guys, connected us. And when I got off the phone with the two of you, I thought, wow, is this going to be a powerful show or what? Because this is going to be all around, reaching a demographic that we really haven't reached yet. We haven't gotten like really deep into kind of that 18 to 35. Is that kind of your range?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to make sure that we explain exactly what it is that you guys do with your community and what you've created. So to back up a second, the two of you are dating.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And you've been dating for a year and a half
It's a year and a
ish.
half. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Okay.
seem that long, but it really feels like forever. Yeah.
You're,
We
you're
feel like
still
we've known each
counting.
other before. Yeah.
You're still counting the half, which I love. So you
Yes.
know it's new.
Yeah. Yeah. One day we'll forget about it.
Well, you two are adorable. And you found each other how?
Well, Keely started following me on Instagram and she
Oh.
started liking a few of my pictures, and
Mm.
I just knew she was trying to get my attention. So I followed her back. I remember I was sitting at—
I just liked your pictures. That
Yeah,
was it.
whatever.
I love it.
I was sitting at breakfast with my sister, and I was just looking at this girl, and I felt like instantly gravitated to her profile. She seemed so fun and lively, and I was like, this is the girl that I've been waiting for a
Oh.
long, long, long time. And so I followed her back after searching, and I sent her a message after like looking through her stuff. Like she was posting about food, and I love food. Like any kind of food is up my alley. And she was posting these incredible meals. So I just like swiped up, and I was like, these, what is it? Oh, this whole highlight is amazing. It's like the group of pictures on your Instagram. So it was all over from there.
Do you want to tell her what I replied? I said, Mama likes to eat. That was my response the first time I've ever talked to her. And I just wanted her to know that I was also like kind of fun and spunky and weird. And I wanted to see if her, sense of humor was similar to mine. So I was like, why not reply with like my real authentic self? So I said, Mama likes to eat. And she just continued the conversation. And I don't even know what you thought when I said that.
I don't know. It was funny. We just really clicked from there.
Wow. I mean, that's kind of a powerful story because meeting that way, you don't always hear that works out.
No,
Yeah.
that's what we
You
teach.
know?
We talk a lot about dating online because it gets hard. It gets confusing to know who's LGBT, who's not. You're
Yeah.
meeting someone on Instagram, you don't know who they are, you don't know their
No.
story, their past, anything like that.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
we found
That's
each
the
other.
perfect segue into why you started coming out happy. It was
Yeah.
beautiful the way you just did it. So explain what it's all about the online community.
Yeah. So first, I want to backtrack a little bit into like I published my book Coming Out Happy. It came out a little bit ago, but that book was all about my journey and loving myself and giving myself the opportunity to be free and happy as who I am. It even went deeper than just being LGBT because I struggled with such self-esteem issues that I never wanted to see anybody else go through that again.
Yeah.
I put it in a book and then I forgot about it. And then a few years later now, in quarantine, Keely made a TikTok about what I was trying to create. I was still working at a corporate job, but
And I was working for my mom at a corporate job as well.
But we were talking about creating a space where people can come together and learn more about themselves and be able to grow with support by their side. So she made a TikTok all about it, and all of a sudden we had like thousands of people following that new account that we just created randomly, and
Yeah.
we had so many signups. As soon as we launched, it was the craziest thing, and
Yeah.
we've been running it ever
TikTok.
since. Yeah.
I really got on get on this TikTok trend. The
Yeah,
only thing
It's
I've
a
done,
great app.
the only
gotta
thing
get
I've
on.
done, you guys, is some of the dancing with my niece.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's pretty good, but nobody's really
Okay.
following me.
That's okay. We'll send some followers your way.
Yes, we
Okay,
will.
good. I know. I think I need Keely to help me with that.
She is
Not a very
that,
good
yeah.
dancer, but I love to dance. I'll still do it anyway. But I was just thinking back to that time when that TikTok was posted, and I didn't ever think that I would be doing this with Dani because this really wasn't up my alley. This wasn't kind of the work that I like to do. I was doing marketing. I loved what I was doing. I was in the grocery industry, and I thought I was going to do that forever. Like that was just what I wanted to do. I loved it. I was born into it. And I remember the day she was like, I have to quit my job. Like I have to quit my job. And that's when I made that TikTok because I went with her I went and met her for lunch on her last day of work. And she was so nervous. She was just freaking out. And I was like, I believe in you, like I know you can do this. And it was just going to be her really. And I made that video when I got back from lunch because I was like, you know what? what if I could get a lot of people to go follow and just make her feel just even a little bit better about everything she's created? And so I didn't even know what I was talking about. She's going to do something incredible. I get on video. She's going to do something amazing. It's profound. You've got to see it. Head on over to the Instagram, just getting on the TikTok. And I couldn't believe how many people were liking it and following, and she texted me and she's like, what's going on? Like, she couldn't understand
we
why.
were just getting follower after like I was just sitting there at my corporate job and I was like, this is blowing up. I didn't even know how to handle it, and that was the start of the entire like program that we created that's transformed a lot in the last like 6 months.
So wait a minute. So you got everybody to go over and listen to the Instagram. And what did you say on that initial Instagram?
It just said like, or what did the Instagram account say and stuff?
Yeah.
No, like what did it say? Like what was your messaging, both of you, I guess, but Keely, you got everybody to go over to hear Dani or to see Dani's content. What was it all about? What were you talking about in it? Do you remember?
It was so vague, I swear. Like, it was literally a gift from the universe because it was so vague. I was just saying, my girlfriend, she just quit her job because she's going to do something amazing for the LGBTQ plus community. And I'm so excited for her. I can't wait to see everything that she does. If you want to follow along on this extremely special journey, go over to @ComingOutHappy on Instagram. You're going to love it. And people just went. And it was like, they didn't even know.
It was a countdown.
Of when it was going to open.
We did have a group of founding members though. We had 30 founding members that were friends of ours that like we were planning on, you know, really going into this with. And then the countdown started. It was like a week, 2 weeks. I don't even know.
Like literally saying 7 days left. And it was like, that's all we were posting. But those pictures would get thousands of likes. And I'm like, why are people so interested in this? And then
we didn't know we were creating. They didn't know we were creating, but it was insane.
And then once it all kind of came together, where we're like, okay, well, when we first started, it was a community, creating a private community where we were going to do some teaching and, be able to hang out with each other during quarantine and all of these things. That it was just the thought in the beginning. And I remember how many people signed up, and I think probably a month later, I was like, I think I need to quit my job. And I'm still working.
Wow.
And so I quit my job as well. And so then we just started going at it, and it was insane. And now we're both doing it full time.
Yeah. I mean, I want to just say what's kind of cool about this story is that you didn't have a plan. I mean, you had a plan. You had kind of an idea what you wanted to do. I'm sure you did, because I know you're the planner, Dani, but, but you weren't analyzing it to death, which a lot of times people do when they're going to start something, and I understand this because it's exactly what happened with my own business, my business outside of this podcasting gig that I have. And it also was the same thing with podcasting. It was just like all of a sudden I had, as you heard in the beginning part of my episodes, the story of meditating and having this voice come to me. It was like, I didn't really know what it was going to look like, but this thing has just blown up. And it's because you're letting universe, spirit, God, whatever you believe in, guide you, and you're listening to your heart and your passion of what you want to do. And all of a sudden things just start happening. Right. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's a shame if you don't put that stuff that you're hearing into play. I feel like everyone would be missing out if you didn't start your podcast, if we didn't start this. When you're feeling something, and of course, because I'm a life coach, I know action is unbeatable. That is the only way to success.
It's so true.
Fear, you can let fear hold you back from everything. But on the other side of that is greatness, is showing yourself that you can do stuff. That's great.
And I know too, we talk about it and then I quit my job, but there was a lot of in between of, do I do this? And should I, or I mean, just remember that day where I was like, I feel this so deeply, this is my purpose. This is what I'm put on this earth to do. And I remember crying to you, what if it doesn't work? And you were like, well, what if it does? And I was like, okay. I was like, I gotta do this. And she's just been that rock. And same, I think same when she quit her job, where I was like, you can do this and I believe in you. And we've just had this connection that's we're there for each other through the highs and lows of this thing, because it's not always highs. There's a lot of lows. And we just keep saying, that we're never going to give up, because when you look at the most successful people in the world, the main thing is that they never gave up. They tried every single angle until something worked. And I know that's true for us. I know that with who we are as people and our drive to inspire people and make them feel great about who we are, there's nothing that can stop us. We never stop. We're quick.
No.
We're quick to fix things as soon as they get off.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? Have you guys ever read, there's a book called The Calling by Raw Goddess?
No.
Okay, I need you to look her up. RHA. And by the way, she follows this podcast.
Okay.
And she has sent me some really nice little messages on Instagram. So she wrote a book called The Calling. She's written a couple books, and I found her through, she's a friend and a spiritual life coach to Gabby Bernstein. And I follow Gabby, obviously, right? She's a big mentor of mine. And she was on one of Gabby's podcasts.
Oh, wow.
And her book is about what you just said. It's about kind of following your calling. And then there's those moments where you have it, it seeps into your head around like, well, who's going to listen? Who wants to hear what we have to say or I have to say? What if this doesn't really matter to anyone? And I actually heard her on a podcast, and it was about a week after I had this meditation, this whole calling for the podcast come through for me. And I hadn't really done anything with it yet. I just was really inspired by what I felt from the meditation. But after I listened to her on the podcast, I went and got her book, and I was like, oh my God, she wrote this book for me. She did. Yeah. And so I think you guys would love it because it's completely in line with what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Calling in your passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. You got to just keep chasing the dream.
You do. So, okay. So tell me this. So you launch this thing.
Yeah.
And what is the first thing that you do when you launch it? Like what do you talk about, Dani, on it?
Well, so initially, like the plan was just to have a group of people come together, and like with all the plans that I had with like creating a membership, there were like certain things that I wanted in place. Like I wanted like guest speakers to come in. I wanted just like some other things. We had it all running like events on a Facebook group, but it was live events, and we had them going like every single day. But like initially when people got in, I was just like, we're here to connect with each other. I want you to feel great about who you are. But it was kind of a mess, as sure. When it's in the beginning. So things were just like getting kind of out of hand, but still it felt like we were on a good track. So a lot of people were just there to meet people. And we're open about this. Like now, they were just there to meet people, which is amazing because a lot of us feel so alone,
especially
when we're
during quarantine. Yeah, because this launched in May.
So obviously everyone's like going through their own struggles and they're needing people to talk to. And this was the perfect opportunity for people to do it. And it was low cost. It was 99% people who were just really young, like in their early 20s. And it came to a point where Keely and I realized that meeting people in the community just wasn't enough. And we weren't following out our passion of teaching. So it felt like something was missing. So that's when we started making it more of a program that we could be teaching every single month and really change people's lives at the end of the day. So, making it more about growing and learning instead of just a community, even though there is a community aspect. We wanted people to really be impacted by our words and by what we're teaching.
So
did you
go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just going to ask you, did you have a lot of people that came into the group that were really lost, like that didn't, outside of the dating component, hadn't come out yet, were, had come out but didn't have positive response, all of that? Like you probably dealt with all of that, right?
Yeah. So because we had like hundreds of people coming in, there were people from all parts of the journey, people who hadn't come out yet, people who were in toxic relationships. Like we didn't start teaching about dating until recently. But what we were talking about is just the coming out journey. And really eventually there started to be people who were in their 30s, and there are people getting in and out of marriages and, dealing with telling their kids. So there are people, and there's still people in it that are going all along the journey, but being a part of the program that we've created has helped them with their self-esteem. Like it's skyrocketed. Like there are people telling us that they've come out purely because of us, but because of like the
Being a
help
part
that
of it,
we
yeah.
that we've shared, within this
Mm.
group. So there are people at all stages, but we've just seen that when they show up, when they put in the work, there's nothing they can't do. But yeah, there have been people who have talked about unaccepting family and unaccepting coworkers and unaccepting everybody in their life. But at the end of the day, we have each other. We have hope within this group.
Yeah.
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 And coming out, you're always coming out, I feel
Yeah.
like.
Never ending
Yeah, it really
process.
never ends, which is why it's great to be a part of this, regardless of if you've already done it the first time, because
Yeah.
there are situations that are going to continuously arise. Like we always have to deal with stuff that happens in our life, whether or not we're comfortable holding hands in public. We've came out 1,000 times, but it still doesn't stop the hesitation of, do I do this? Should I tell my coworkers? Should I not? Should I come out to these people? Like it's just a
Yeah.
different journey. And sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah. And you guys talk about that on the podcast on one of the episodes. I've listened to all of them.
That's so amazing.
I
Thank you.
think there's two that I started. And I just, first of all, I love the chemistry that you two have
Thank you.
on so many levels. And I think I said this to you before we got on air, that I feel like you're both old souls, and I'm always drawn to people like that. Or I should say, they come into my universe for some reason. I mean, there's no other explanation as to why we're sitting here
Yeah.
together today. I mean, other than it's divine intervention,
Yeah.
for sure. But I mean, the things that you talk about, and you do it in a way on your podcast and on YouTube, because I watched a YouTube video yesterday too, is that, you just have a real authentic uh, energy around you. And, that gives people comfort, like you just said, Dani, to be able to talk about their stuff and come out
Yeah.
and feel supported, right?
Yeah. All we want is just for people to know that they can be themselves. And sometimes it takes a long time to get there. But, I've been through hating myself, for years, to becoming someone who's not afraid to stand up for herself, not afraid to wear clothes that aren't traditional for a woman. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
becoming more authentic every day is something like we both strive for, because that's what matters at the end of the day, not pretending to be someone else. Being LGBT, there's a part of us in most people that have had to hide, that have had to pretend to be someone else all of their lives.
Yep.
But we just try to help them be closer to really who they are
Mm-hmm.
every single day.
Yeah. And I think too, like we talked about this earlier, because Keely, you had a little bit of a different coming out.
Right.
And your situation, your story, which we're going to talk about, is more common than I think people will share, with regard to having grown up in a really religious family. We had a little bit of that in our family. I grew up Catholic, but I'm spiritual at this point in my life. But I grew up with a really, traditional Catholic family, and my husband's Catholic, and his family's very Catholic. And I remember when we were dating, and we obviously we told everybody my son was gay. It wasn't, I don't want to say it wasn't embraced, because I think they were very, his family was very understanding, but I think fundamentally they didn't really get it.
Yeah.
But they were trying to show as much support as they could, but not quite. I mean, now it's different because it's been so many years. And my family, the same, it was a little, just, it didn't feel, everybody in the family felt like it was a choice.
Right.
Right. And so talk about that, because clearly it is not a choice. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who's done any amount of research and understanding or education around, all of this knows that that is not what it is. And if you still think that, if you're listening to this and you still think that this is a choice, then I have news for you. And I have thousands of stories to explain to you why it's not, especially when my son was 3 years old and was wearing girl clothes and makeup, and it's never changed. He still does it.
Yeah.
Right, right.
So tell us about that, Keely,
Yeah.
because I want to hear your story too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I grew up in a Christian environment with my family, and then I attended private Christian high school. I also attended a private college, Christian college, for 2 years of my college journey. And so I was in it all of my life, going on mission trips and all of these things. And something just didn't connect because I was always feeling that I liked girls. Like, even when I was very young, I never dated a guy in my entire life. And people always look at me and they're like, "You've never dated a guy? Like, what? You're so feminine. How could you not?" And I'm like, I just never have, because for me, this is who I've been my entire life. And that goes back to, it's not a choice. This is who you are. This is who you're born to be. And it was really hard because when you grow up in that environment, you're told that it's Adam and Eve. It's straight only. It's this is wrong and it's a sin and all of these things. And I remember like really exploring it, kind of in secrecy. When I was younger, I would date, and have secret relationships that no one knew about. But I do remember at a point in high school where I had shared something online with the person that I was with, and it came out at my private high school. Someone had shared the photos, and it went around the whole entire school, and I just was in so much fear that I was going to be kicked out of high school, that my parents were going to find out, because I knew they weren't very accepting of it, and so much anxiety, that feeling of walking into school and everyone looking at you like you're dirty or there's something wrong with you. And I felt so wrong. But I always told myself that this is who you are. You've been this way, you feel this way. And I don't know what it was, but I felt like I always had my own back through all of that. I just always reminded myself that, and I was really afraid at the time. And so I actually came out to one of my Bible teachers. And I don't know why I picked the Bible teacher.
Wow.
But I felt close to her. I felt, like I could trust her. And so, because she was like my prayer partner, and we would meet a lot. And I was like, this is the only person I have. I have no one. I have no one to tell. No one understands. No one will. I need to tell someone. And I was also afraid that the school was going to find out. So I kind of wanted to get her opinion on what they would do if they found out.
Yeah.
And so I told her, and I'll never forget what she said. She said, I actually had some friends that were lesbian, but it just didn't work out for them because I just don't think it's God's best. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like,
Oh boy.
who is God's best? What is God's best? And like, that just really made me afraid, and it made me afraid that I wasn't going to go to heaven, and all of the things that you're told when you grow up in a religious environment. I mean, a lot of it is fear. That's what it is. And it's manipulative and very just, it's fearful. You're afraid. And so after that, I kind of went back into the closet. This was in high school. And then in college, I played college soccer, and one of the rules on our soccer team was no dating within the team. And I was actually dating someone on the team. And so I was again back in the closet. And so this entire time, I was just like hiding and hiding and hiding, and also in like toxic relationships, as they are most of the time when they're secret. And so when I finally left that college, and I was going to the University of Colorado, and it was a public college. I'd never been to a public school. I was like, this is so different. I actually saw like so many different kinds of people. This was awesome. And I really started to get to know myself. I got out of that toxic relationship. I was exploring who I was, and I was like, I cannot grow anymore. I'm at a point in my life where I can't do this anymore. I cannot become the person I want to be if I'm not out. And so I remember I had one friend that knew about me then. One friend, that's all I had. And I think it only takes sometimes one person that supports you to change everything.
Yep.
As I'm sure you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had that one friend, and she goes, if you love your family, if you want to be this person that you are so badly, why don't you just do it? And I don't know why that day. I didn't plan on it. I never thought I would come out to my family. Like, just we had a close bond that I felt like they'd feel like I was lying to them. They felt like I'd betrayed them. All of these things. I was taking on all of their feelings. And so I just knew that day I had to do it. And so I left lunch with her that day. And I went to my parents' house and I told my dad first, and I told him I had to talk to him, and I said, hey, I gotta tell you, like, I'm gay. And he cried and he hugged me and he supported me, and I think it was really hard for both my parents because
Sure.
they grew up with their families thinking that gay marriage is wrong and all of these things. And so even though it was hard and they had told me it was wrong most of my life, that they kind of saw that I was still the same person. And it wasn't always easy from the beginning, but they started to change a little bit, and from where they are today is like so much further. But it was really hard for them, and I still think that sometimes they don't agree with everything that I do, but they see that I'm so happy, genuinely
Yeah.
being my authentic self. I mean, this year they got Dani a custom stocking, so you can see the difference of how much they've changed and how much they love Dani. And I think she was a big part of why they changed. They saw that such an amazing person can come into my life and love me and treat me so well, no matter our gender. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. And so it was really hard and it was really scary. But I do know that people that are listening that maybe are feeling afraid of, what it's going to be like, or the people that are going to accept you or not, this is who you are. You lay it out on the table and you say who you are. And if people don't accept you, they're missing out. And I had to
Yep.
go in with that mindset. I had to know if my family doesn't accept me for who I am, I'm still an awesome person. I'm still amazing. I can still do all of these things. And this is what makes me who I am. They're going to miss out on me because I'm a pretty fun person, and just like telling yourself that constantly. My mantra was constantly that, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And this helped me so much. For anyone that's struggling, you can say this over and over and over again. Everyone in our community knows that this is my favorite thing to say. But if everything didn't line up the way it did, I wouldn't be where I am today. I would not be here. This is who I'm supposed to be. This is meant to be. And I just love that. And I think that's where I became more spiritual. And I really started to understand that. But I wasn't always, because I think religion does, take a hold of you sometime, and it's confusing for someone.
Yeah. I would just like to say for the record, I'd like you to be my daughter, please.
Yes, I love it.
And I feel like you might be because you're very, articulate and well-spoken. I guess I'm just saying that I am articulate and well-spoken. And no, and you both are. And just the passion, you can feel the passion of what you guys are doing and what your movement is about, which is so inspiring. I also want to say, if you're listening, and you obviously will have this on YouTube, but you can't see it right now, I want you to know that I am noticing the way that Dani looks at you when you talk is very, has anyone ever mentioned that to you?
I think once.
Probably.
It was your parents. Your parents said something.
Well,
yeah, I mean, I admire like how far she's come, because when we first met, she was just going through a lot of her own stuff, and like just was not ready to dig deep inside of herself. And
I was very surface level.
And as someone who like I was just deep like that. I don't talk surface level. I'm like, let's get to the real stuff.
How are you really doing?
Yeah, that's what it was like. But she's just grown into someone who, I mean, we just work really, really. We work well together as business partners, as
You're
a
just
couple.
a biz partner.
But no, I've just like really seen a completely different side of her, and I'm just really proud of her.
Let's talk about that. Well, thank you. But let's talk about that real quick, like what it was like for you in the beginning of our relationship, because I was still going through it where I was like, you know what? I got to believe this because I'm going to go to hell. Like, I got to believe all of this. I got to still be a part of this. Even though I had come out and everything, I was still holding on to it. I think it's really hard to let go of, harder than people talk about.
I agree.
So, yeah. And I'm sure too, being spiritual and before growing up Catholic, it's difficult. And so the beginning of our relationship, I remember where we were at the beach, and it was like one of our, fourth or fifth dates. And I was afraid because I knew she was spiritual. Like, I kind of could tell she didn't really talk about God. And that it made me afraid because I was like, I'm supposed to be with someone that believes the same things as me. This might not work. And I was really thinking it might not work because of that. And so she sat me down at the beach that day. And I remember you were like, so what do you you were telling me what you believe. You're like, yeah, like I think once we die, we come back. Like, and I was like, what? Like, we come back? You can imagine someone that grew up religious. I was like, what do you mean? Like, you think you're gonna be so, you think you've been someone before, like all of these things that she was telling me, and I was like, what? I was just blown away. I was shocked, and I left that day, and I think you called me on the way home because I was like,
she was
shocked.
uneasy with the conversation that I was having with her.
I was like,
and maybe it was my mistake. I don't really know.
but I was like, But then I realized something in that moment, and I realized that I've always been very black and white, because I think sometimes when you grow up in religion, you are. You're very blindsided to everything else that's going on because you have to believe a certain thing. And I think I started to realize that it didn't really click as much as I used to. I really didn't feel the connection. And I saw Dani have this spiritual relationship, and saw how she was walking through her journey, and the meditation and the freedom. I think the biggest thing is the freedom that you have to be who you are, and like trust and to feel things. And I just don't feel that way with being in a religious environment. And so I thought about it, and we talked, and I think it took me some time. Do you remember? Yeah, I couldn't. Oh yeah, like I remember telling her that it was really hard for me to say, like, I didn't believe everything that I believed before.
She like wouldn't even like mumble it.
I wouldn't even say. I was afraid that like God was gonna hear. Someone's gonna hear me, and then I would be going to hell. Like it was really, I was really afraid. I mean, have you felt that way? Like,
oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Because my husband is very religious, and he is starting to get on board with the spirituality component. I mean, he will meditate with me, but he doesn't do it as much as I do. And he struggles, I think, a little bit with it, but he's been so much more open, especially since he has a stepson that's gay. And he's had to be open to understanding, like, there are so many different, beliefs, and it's not just black or white, like you just said. And I think too, like with Cole, my son, he didn't really grow up in a religious family because I was kind of coming out of it at that point, and I really wasn't doing a lot of it. But his dad, his biological dad, ironically enough, was a Jehovah's Witness.
wow.
And that was a very different world. He wasn't a practicing witness, but his whole family was. And I adore his family. I still do to this day. They're lovely people, but their beliefs were something that, we obviously weren't going to raise Cole Jehovah's Witness. So he didn't really have a defined a defined religion. So I think he was more on the spiritual side.
Right.
And through I don't know if you've heard all the podcasts yet on mine, but there were a couple where I talk a little bit about some big moments that happened for Cole recently. But he did have an experience where, and I believe him, that God spoke to him. And he was in the depths of his addiction, and he was in a crack house, and he was using, he was obviously using heroin and meth and all kinds of things. And he had an abscess on his ankle that was really bad and had really gotten infected. And he was hallucinating and having like all kinds of side effects from that, but also was on drugs. And he basically almost died, almost OD'd. And in the midst of all of that, he heard God say to him, "Get up. It's not your time. Get up." Yeah. And he was telling me this story when he was in the hospital, and he was in tears, and he's like, "Mom, I mean, can God be a part of, the spirituality side as well?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And he's like, "I think God was speaking to me, and I think I have angels looking over me, and I know it because I should have died. There's many times I should have died." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, there's a whole circle around you." And it was the first time in our relationship where we really talked about it. And I think in the past, he's always been like, "Oh, Mom, you've got your crystals and all you're all woo woo and everything." Yeah. But now he's like, "Mom, I get it. Like, I understand that there's another side of this." And so he really is a believer, not in a traditional sense of believing that, he believes that there's a God, but he doesn't believe that he has to tap into that part to be accepted and to be, so he didn't have a lot of the same issues that I think you had, unfortunately, Keely, that kind of held you back.
Right.
But he's just grappled with what's this life all about. And he's kind of more along the same lines as Dani, where he believes
Yeah.
like there is a higher self and we're, we have all these different dimensions, right? So it's really interesting
Yeah.
to hear your perspective because I mean, it is hard enough to be who you are and have that be okay,
Mhm.
right? And not have to convince everybody that it's okay, but to have the religious component, dumped on top of you with the guilt and the fear and all the stuff that you talked about makes it even harder.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
know?
Because
What
it's
does it say about
more,
Candace?
yeah, it's more mental. It's more, in your head rather than like what people are thinking. It's like you feel like you're playing a game in your mind of like, well, am I wrong? Am I gonna make it? Will God, do different things? Will I have a different journey or a different path because I choose
Mhm.
something else? Like all of these things that are so in your head, and it's overwhelming for
But
sure.
there are a lot of people, especially within our private community, who do try to reconcile their faith.
Yeah.
There's still people, I don't want to ever push anybody away if that's
Yeah.
what they feel is best for them.
Yeah,
But
sure.
there's still a lot of people who want to hold on to those two big identities that they have.
Right.
So I think it's everyone's own journey to figure out. Some people don't connect with it, some people do, and it's really up to everyone to like figure that out for themselves.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Your whole mission is around self-acceptance, self-love, right? I
yeah,
mean, isn't that kind of your whole mantra and your whole mission around coming out happy?
yeah, that's
Yes.
it. That's honestly it. That was it. That was the whole thing at the end of
I
the
mean,
day.
it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really so simple, but yet it's not, right?
It's a lot harder than just saying those words. I can say it, just love yourself, but like what that really means is going through hell and back, like really digging into your like deepest part of yourself and being okay with all of the things that you try to avoid, which
Yeah.
is what a lot of people do today. So it's a lot harder than than it sounds.
Yeah. And if you have mental health issues,
Yeah.
um, obviously that's one of the things that we talk a lot about on my show is, that makes it difficult sometimes. There's this mindset around like, well, just be happy.
Yeah.
Your life is so great. Why can't you see that? And if you have like a legitimate mental health issue or illness, it's really difficult to have that mindset.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to say that, that is something that is, you have to work towards kind of overcoming that piece of it.
Yeah.
But having a community like what you guys are creating, I am sure you have people in that community who have mental health issues
Yeah, of
and
course.
they are thriving
Yeah.
because of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, and we can't, try to be the hero in every single situation, like I wish we could solve everything for everyone, but we're trying to be the rock that they need when they don't believe in themselves, just like really, really being there for them and teaching them how to start handling themselves in small ways. It doesn't have to be 0 to 100 in a day, but we
Mhm.
want to show people that they can get there with time, they can get there with persistence, and we just don't want anyone thinking that it's not possible.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's kind of why we've made it not just like a month thing. It's like it's a program. It's a longer thing because we know that there's going to be times where you're going to we always say you're going to learn all of these things that we do in the master classes through the check-ins, and you're just adding them to your life toolkit. You're adding them all the time because another challenge is going to come up, maybe similar to the last one, but you're going to have to navigate it. And so every single month different things are coming up all throughout your life. And I think that's something that I've learned too, is that I felt like in the beginning when I started, my spiritual journey and started feeling better about who I was and all of these things, that doesn't just stop there. It keeps
Mm-mm.
going and you continue to grow into this person. And that's what I love about coming out happy.
Yeah.
That it's just like we're always growing. We're helping each other every single month. You don't just
Yeah.
stop.
Or even through the podcast or other courses, that we're creating,
That
everything
you're
is just,
doing.
yeah,
Mhm.
everything is just to inspire.
So let me ask you this. So let's talk about being an ally to the community, because obviously I am an ally, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm a part of the community, even though I'm not actually gay or lesbian or trans or anything, right? But my son is gay. So how do you be a good ally to the LGBTQ plus community?
Yeah, I think just there are two things. I think it's one, be willing to learn more about the community. I feel like if you're closed off, like, let's just talk about like a parent, like if my parents were never okay with like learning or just asking me questions, however they want to learn, if it was
Mhm.
closed off, I wouldn't feel accepted. I wouldn't feel like they are being the ally that like I need them to be. And number two, I feel like it would just be just like saying I love you, just like being there to support through whatever it is that, we're talking about. Just
Mhm.
showing compassion, I
Yeah.
think is really what it takes. So be willing to learn however you choose to, and just
Mhm.
showing that you're there for them, even if it doesn't come with like asking a bunch of questions, but
Yeah.
just being there.
Being willing to learn is so important. Like, I know that even within your community, you're still learning about, you know, um, the trans community and queer community. I mean, all of that, because that's all kind of not new, but like in terms of the labels, if you want to call them, like that's newer
Mhm.
to the gay and lesbian community. So I think that's really a struggle is, I have friends that are in the community that say, wow, I have a hard time understanding the trans, uh, community and what they're all about. And
Yeah.
so that's one of the things about doing this show is that we actually had quite a few trans people on because it's such a misunderstood issue. And there are people who are, very hetero that don't understand that, yes, you do need to acknowledge and address the trans community or the queer community with a he or a she or a they or
Mhm.
there are specific ways to communicate
Yeah.
and you've got to learn it.
Mhm.
i'm
It's just
i'm sorry if it's uncomfortable, but you have to learn it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's like, for me, it's people that are not willing to learn it. It's like, everyone, we're all just people, we're all
Exactly.
just people, and love is love. And when you look at it and you take everything apart, like, treating people with respect
Yeah.
is one of the best things that you can do. It makes, like, even if you don't think what you're saying, or you're maybe not sure how to approach it, but even asking, someone what their pronouns are if
Mhm.
you aren't sure is like a huge respect thing that I'm sure they
Huge.
appreciate more than anyone knows.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's just really
Yeah,
a beautiful thing.
respect and willingness to learn. And yeah, I think those are two really, really, really
Yeah.
important things.
Yeah,
For people who have never been exposed to any part of the LGBT community, I
I
think we have a
know.
lot to learn. We're always still learning because I was saying earlier, we haven't been in a lot of people's shoes, we only come from our own perspective. So we still need to learn more about the community and understand the different labels and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I don't think there's ever an end to all of this learning, but it's
Yeah.
making us better people to understand people. That's what it is all about.
Yeah.
Well, and so let's talk a little bit as we close in a couple things. So the book, which is called Coming Out Happy,
Mhm.
and it's basically a five lesson system
Mhm.
that helps young people who like understand who they are meant to be while creating the life that they want to live and love. And did I kind of sum it up right?
Yeah, just without
Sort
the
of.
young people part. I wrote that, probably shouldn't have, but for anybody who's struggling with themselves, just helping them be open to understanding themselves, to explore who they are, and
Yeah.
know that it's okay to be you. It's more than okay. It's beautiful. So that's what that is all about.
And you were 21 years old when you wrote that book.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm 25 now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then the community that you've created, your online community, how do they join? How do they become a part of it?
So that's actually by private invitation. So if you head on
Oh,
to
wait a second.
DaniMaxCoaching.com,
You have to be privately invited?
private, yeah, you got to learn a little bit about us, get to go through some of the steps, and
Okay, I like that.
yeah,
Yeah. I
You got
think
to be selective. I mean, come on. This is serious. We don't want to just anyone in there.
exactly. We want people who are ready to learn, ready to grow, and
Mhm.
any nonsense, it's not a good fit.
yeah, I think too, just like the community is so growth minded, and they're ready to just like build each other up, and we want those kind of people joining as well, and just jumping into people that are ready to be their best selves, and it's just really beautiful.
But we
thing,
have
so.
podcasts and
Yeah.
just a bunch of different resources for everyone who wants to listen.
Right. I'm going to put all that in the show notes. So the Coming Out Happy podcast is awesome.
Thank
And
you.
then on Instagram, you're just at Coming Out Happy, right?
Yes.
And on TikTok, it's
Yeah.
Coming Out Happy Team.
Okay. I need to get on to the TikTok train.
You
It's
would
happening.
love it. We'll show you.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to hire Keely to like help
She'll
me
run
with
it
the
for you.
TikTok.
She'll take videos of you. You're
Yeah.
gonna get upset.
Come on. Let's do it.
Right?
You guys
It's
are in
so
San
fun.
Diego, right?
Yeah.
Where are you at? No, Colorado. Okay. I thought you were in San Diego.
No, we're in San Diego.
She's from Colorado though.
Okay, you're in San Diego. Yeah, because I'm in the desert right now. We have a
That's
house
so
out here. We
close.
should have met up
I know we should.
next time. We're gonna meet next time. And then your YouTube. I was looking. You guys have a shit ton of subscribers.
I've been at that YouTube for a lot of years already. I don't
We
know if
should
you
do
saw.
more. We don't do as many.
We just because we went down the podcast route, so we're just trying to put just like sound onto it instead of recording all the time, because of course we don't have unlimited time. So just like giving people short.
It's just us.
Yes, but I want to keep posting more videos because I think like we do well when people can see our face and understand our facial expression, how we're looking at each other, all that stuff. But we're doing the best we can.
I mean, you have I looked this morning. It's like 1.47 million.
Yeah, I don't know if you got to hear my song Pride, but I released music when I first started all of this.
Wait, do you sing?
Yes, I do.
I'm a singer
so
too.
good.
Yeah,
I'm a singer too. Did you know?
Oh my gosh!
No, I didn't. We didn't talk
Let's
about
sing
that.
together.
Maybe not right now. I didn't warm up.
Okay. All right.
Look her up on Spotify.
No, it's on my YouTube. It's actually one of the featured videos.
She's
You have to
really
watch
good.
the video.
It's called Pride. Okay, I'm gonna look it up.
Pride by Dani Max.
What?
I have a list. I have songs on Spotify and iTunes that anybody can listen to.
Stop it! I did not know
I try
this.
not to put it out there too much, just because obviously I don't do it anymore. But that was a really big part of the first parts of my journey. Like when I first released the book, I was also releasing music. So
yeah, because singing is, I've grown up singing. Singing is such a great way to connect internally and everything. It's such a gift to be able to sing. Yeah. Why aren't you promoting that?
I promote our podcast. I want people to know the real me, and that's what's going on.
That's gonna be. We already pictured it.
Singing.
Oh, what was that?
Oh, I said we're going to promote the singing.
Yes,
let's do it.
We kind of pictured ourselves like we were manifesting this, and because we want to be like little Tony Robbins, and so we're gonna walk onto a stage, and Pride's gonna be playing, and we're gonna walk out, and we're gonna be clapping.
We're excited.
Dani's song. So yeah, we're already manifesting. Her songs are in it. Don't worry.
God, I love this so much. Okay, so if people want to join the community, how would they connect with you to be considered to be a part of the private community?
Yeah, so I think either reaching out just on Instagram or shooting us an email is the best way to go.
Yeah, and we just want people to kind of experience our style of teaching, what we're like. So we have some stuff that they can get access to, and then
which is directly on our website.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy to navigate.
What's the biggest goal that you two are trying to achieve in the next year with this whole thing? What do you want? What do you envision? What do you see happening?
What do you envision?
I really want to do a bunch of courses for people. I want to just have this teaching down so people can, whenever they see us, they know that they can learn instantly about how to get to where we are. I just want to continue to be helping people hit some goals on Instagram and just keep doing the podcast. In a year, I want to know that this is where we're going. I feel like we're still very new to this
whole. It's only been how many months?
It's
6 months.
Yeah. But I want to continue teaching, and I think that's the way I see it going, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited to just give people the gift of what we have in our heads.
Yeah. Keely, what do you want?
I am excited to make some more of those videos as well, because I know we have so much to say, and it's just Dani and I, but I can't wait for the next year, and the next year I hope that we can just be more of creating the content and hiring more people to help us with some of the administrative stuff, or some of the other things that we do that are like taking up a lot of time, all the technical stuff Dani does, and I'm like, I don't even know how you're doing that. But we always figure it out. So I just want to spend more time on like creating more stuff to go out there, because it's only us, and you really can only do so much. Like we look at the time sometimes during the day, and it's like it's already 4 o'clock. Like the day just flies by because there's so much to do. So just like getting ahead and really being visionaries of where we want this to go is like so important.
But I think within like our community, I want to be helping like at least 1,000 people, within them, like every single month. That's really the goal, just more people that are ready to grow.
I mean, I'm guessing this is kind of a no-brainer when I'm asking it, but you are writing down these goals and manifesting.
Yeah.
You should tell her about the wall in our old apartment.
The wall.
Tell me.
In our old apartment.
What do you mean?
Remember we wrote on our door every single day?
Oh, so as a goal, like when we were going through the beginning of probably the quarantine, or like right before it or something like that, we started to write a list of goals that we wanted to have within the next like 6 months. And one of them was like, I want to start like meditating more. I want to start eating better. The next one was like, I want to quit my job. And then I remember the day that like I quit, I slashed it off. And then we also were talking about like getting 30 founding members. And I remember crossing off like the list of like people that we just crazy. Saw like in front of us, our dreams come true, and us crossing off different goals that we were having.
We still have those.
We wrote them all down. It's just like you can go after the things that you want if you believe in yourself. That's it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We also did so it was so cool. And we also did this big, huge poster board. We each did our own, and we said where we want to be in the next 5 years. So after we did it, we like wrote it all out on there. We didn't let each other see it, and we rolled them up. We still have them, and we can't open until 5 years. So it's gonna be a while. I think we're 4 years now. We did it like a year ago.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I just love that. I mean, the energy that the two of you bring to one another is crazy. The way you look at each other, and I mean, just the smiles. You can just tell that you're following your true passion, and and it's so admirable to see. I mean, to watch. I mean, especially at your age, like I think at my age, I mean, it's, when you've lived a full life and you've made a whole bunch of stupid mistakes. You arrive, so to speak, where it's like, oh, I get it. Like, I understand kind of why I'm here. I understand my purpose. I understand what's important, what's not important anymore. I'm not going to sweat the small things. Okay. But that's me figuring that out at 53.
Yeah.
You guys are in your 20s and you already have that shit dialed in. Like, that's crazy.
But and we talk about this all the time, because we handle people who are coming out, in their 50s and their 40s. There's no timeline for any of it. I think it, to someone, it seems like you should have already had it together by 30 or whatever name or age you come up with inside your head. But the truth is, nobody knows what they're doing. They all just want to be happy, and we're all just figuring it out. Yeah. So regardless of, what age someone is, I just want them to be happy.
Yeah.
Following their truth. That's it.
It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And as a mother, for those that are listening and watching, of your viewers and my listeners, it's like, I just feel like if you're lucky enough to have two daughters like this, man, it's like they're going to change the world. You guys are changing the world. You really are.
You too. There you go.
I mean, I'm going to start crying like that. I feel just so proud to have been a part of this at such an early stage in your, liftoff. Like, I feel like you're just going to this whole thing is just going to get elevated, and the people that you're serving, and it's not just the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah.
It's just not. I mean, I feel like your messaging is universal, as we talked about in the beginning of the podcast. Yeah. And it's just, there's no defining group of people that shouldn't be hearing your message and believing in what you're all about. You're such an inspiration. And just really from my perspective as a mom, like, yes, you definitely hit it on the head. Like self-love and acceptance for yourself is so important, but the parents and the loved ones around you, the brothers and the sisters, the aunts, the uncles, the grandparents, like wake up and hear what we've talked about today, because your influence and your opinion and your support or lack of support is like one more obstacle that you have to jump through, like that you have to go around if you're struggling to be accepted.
Mhm.
Right.
If
So
it adds something else, into the mix, that would just be a whole lot easier if, people just said like, I love you regardless,
don't you guys wish I was like your mom?
You have to meet my mom. She's really going to like you. I know
Yes,
she
you
will.
have to meet her.
I mean, no dissing your moms. I'm sure they're lovely, but like seriously,
Yeah.
I'm accepting of you guys so quickly and so easily. No, I'm kidding. Not every parent is like that, unfortunately. But I think with the help that you guys and the words that you're spreading, you're helping to change that. And you're two remarkable badasses. Let me just say that.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah. Don't you ever forget it. Just because you're looking at us, there's big stuff to be done in this world. Everyone needs to hear your voice too. That's it.
Yeah, I don't think
Oh.
I've ever heard like a parent doing the podcast and like really incorporating the LGBTQ plus community. Like
And
that
it's
is so
necessary.
cool. That is needed. I've
Yeah.
never heard that. Like that's awesome.
Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that. It's important work.
Yeah.
It's important
really
work. And the education, like you guys talked about in the beginning, the education is so important because so many people just don't get it,
Mhm. Yeah.
and it's not their fault.
Mhm.
They just don't understand. So we're all here to help educate and to help bring everybody together to come out happy.
Yeah, coming
I
out
love
happier.
that. Yeah.
Life doesn't have to suck.
Yeah.
I don't want to end this because I really love you guys.
We'll have to do a part 2. We'll figure out something else.
We have to. Maybe you come on our podcast,
Ooh.
something.
I would love that. And
Yeah.
I will be more professional and
Oh my gosh.
a collared shirt like you ladies. And I'll put some makeup on. I'll look a little bit better than I look
You
right
look
now.
great.
I'm in my camo. It's like
I like it.
role reversal. Hilarious. You guys are beautiful inside and out. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm
Thank you.
so honored and so humbled to know you. And now we're forever friends.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so
So
much for having
we
us.
will have all of your information in the podcast notes so people can figure out how to get connected to you and follow you on everything, every platform. And Keely, you're helping me with my TikTok.
Yes. Signing off.
Thanks so much, guys.